Max Verstappen's imperious march to the second F1 title is a testament to his mastery. After it appeared that the 2022 Formula One season would be a battle between Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, the Dutchman went on to completely dominate the sport in 2022 and won his second Formula One championship. Let's take a look at Verstappen's incredible journey to becoming a two-time F1 world champion. The fight for the Formula One World Championship was a bitter heavyweight duel between Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton that went down to the final lap of the season and saw Verstappen take his first world title amid the controversy of how the race was restarted. However, 2022 was an entirely different story. It appeared early in the season that Verstappen and Ferrari's Charles Leclerc would be in a dogfight for the lead. However, Red Bull got their car dialed in and the RB18 became the best racing machine on the 2022 grid. On the other hand, Ferrari's challenge was hampered by reliability issues, driver and team errors, and higher tyre wear. Verstappen really is a class above the rest in 2022. The first few weeks of the season proceeded in a truly amazing manner. After the testing phase, it was evident that Ferrari and Red Bull had the best cars, and this was demonstrated during the first race of the season in Bahrain, when Leclerc won the pole position and Verstappen joined him on the front row. After having a terrific duel with Leclerc, Verstappen and his teammate Sergio Perez would eventually withdraw from that race due to technical issues. However, this put Verstappen in an immediate disadvantageous position in comparison to Leclerc. The Dutchman got back on track after an exciting and tactical race in Jeddah. But he had another DNF in Australia, which was a race in which he would have finished second behind a dominant Leclerc. This meant that the Ferrari driver now had a 43-point lead in the championship and that Verstappen was down in 6th place in the standings. Also, Ferrari was a significant distance ahead in the constructors' standings. Verstappen came back strong over the course of the next few races, earning maximum points at Imola, while Leclerc spun out of 3rd place in that race and finished in 6th. You're enjoying this video, right? You definitely don't want to miss out on other amazing videos, so all you have to do is hit the subscription button. It's that easy. Thanks for doing that, let's move on. Verstappen would win the next 3 races in a row, finish ahead of Leclerc in Monaco, and then win in Canada and Baku too. After the Spanish Grand Prix, Verstappen took the lead in the championship as Leclerc suffered an engine failure. The Ferrari driver again suffered another engine failure in Baku. Verstappen extended his lead after the Canadian Grand Prix, a race in which Leclerc started from the back of the grid and finished in 5th place. Silverstone was the only blot on the Verstappen copybook at this point, as he only finished 7th after picking up a piece of AlphaTauri in the floor of his RB18. Leclerc responded with a victory in Austria, but in the following race in France, Leclerc was involved in an accident that forced him out of the race lead position. As a result, Verstappen was able to build up a lead of over 60 points. From that point forth, Verstappen was virtually unbeatable, and it didn't seem to matter where he started on the grid, as he would always win the race. After a glitch with his RB18 engine, he finished 10th in the qualifying in Hungary, but he still managed to pull off the victory, despite spinning off after passing Leclerc. At Spa, he began off 14th on the grid due to engine penalties, but by lap 12, he had moved up to the first position. He again won in Zandvoort after a thrilling race and also dominated in Italy from 7th on the grid after an engine penalty. After a difficult race in Singapore caused by a lack of fuel in his Red Bull during qualifying,
he's got to have enough fuel for scrutineering.
He was only able to finish 7th overall. Verstappen then went on to completely dominate the grid in the shortened Japanese Grand Prix, winning by a margin of 26 seconds in just 28 laps. This race served as a demonstration of how much of an improvement Verstappen had made in 2022. That has really been the story of the season. Ferrari struggled due to a combination of poor strategic decisions, terrible reliability, and the odd driver error. Verstappen, meanwhile, has picked up win after win despite having 2 DNFs at the beginning of the year. Even with that, he was able to win the championship with 4 races to spare. Even if Ferrari hadn't had engine trouble early in the season and Leclerc hadn't had his accident in France, it still seemed like this was going to happen. Once Verstappen eventually dialed himself into the RB18, he didn't look back and won races even from the lower half of the grid, sometimes making his competitors seem like weaklings in the process. While it is undeniable that the Red Bull is the class of the field this season, the Ferrari was a legitimate contender to win every race in the early rounds of 2022. When viewed from one perspective, you could say that the Italian team has gifted Max Verstappen additional wins, most notably in Spain when Charles Leclerc broke down, and then in France when Leclerc crashed out of the lead. But when viewed from another perspective, you could say that Max Verstappen has consistently been in a position to take advantage of those opportunities. Even more impressively, he has won races while starting from lowly grid positions, which is something that other top drivers, such as Vettel and Schumacher, rarely did. In 2004, Schumacher won 11 of his 13 races from the first two positions on the grid, while Sebastian Vettel won all 13 of his races from the front row on the grid in 2013. However, 6 of Verstappen's 14 victories have come from grid positions that were not in the top 2, and 2 of those victories came from extremely low places, 10th and 14th on the grid in Hungary and Belgium, respectively. At first glance, this could be interpreted as a negative reflection on his qualifying performance. However, the 3 races in which he started from the lowest grid position and went on to win all occurred when he had either grid penalties for engine component changes or had a power unit issue during qualifying. On top of that, Ferrari had a quicker car in qualifying at a number of races this year, which was not the case among Vettel and Schumacher's rivals when they were dominating. This indicates that Verstappen has had to put in more effort in order to earn the front row starting positions. Even while Verstappen still has many fertile years ahead of him in his career, there is no doubt that he has already established himself as one of the sport's most accomplished drivers. Red Bull's team boss Christian Horner, who is in a position to directly compare the newly crowned 2-time champion with the 4-time champion Vettel, provided an insightful perspective on the two drivers. Horner said, "They are 2 very different drivers, 2 phenomenally successful drivers, and I think what Sebastian has achieved in his career puts him among the greats and the most successful drivers in the sport. But I think Max, what we are seeing today and this year, we are actually witnessing something very special. I sometimes think that his achievements perhaps don't receive the plaudits that they should because what we have witnessed this year is an absolutely outstanding performance from a driver who is at the top of his game." When asked if Verstappen's performance was the most outstanding season-long performance that Horner has seen from a driver, he added, "There have been years of domination with Mercedes, but I think as an individual driver, probably yes. He has won the most Grand Prix in a year now within 21 races. On top of that, he has won 2 sprint races and he has not won all of them from pole position. He's had to fight and race for a lot of these victories. When we look back at the end of the year, it is an absolutely outstanding year that Max has driven. He hasn't put a wheel wrong. He has been perfect throughout the season. And it's incredible the level of consistency he has been able to achieve. Of course, that's the opinion of a very proud team boss with a naturally biased viewpoint. But even if Verstappen were to retire tomorrow, it would be difficult to argue against his place as one of the best drivers in Formula One history based on his performance in this year's competition. It is possible that some individuals will use the fact that Red Bull broke the budget cap set for the last year as a justification for downplaying the achievements of Verstappen in 2022. However, even the most inflated statements regarding how much performance Red Bull acquired in the development of this year's car by overspending last year would not be enough to balance out his lead over the rest of the competition. Whether or not you're a fan of Verstappen, you can't deny that he has had an outstanding year in terms of his performance. What's your thought about Max Verstappen's 2022 season? Would this be Verstappen's best season of his F1 career? Let me know in the comment section below. That will be all for today's video. Thanks for staying tuned. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you can always get to watch more amazing videos like this. See you in the next video.